Okay, so this is a pretty new announcement. It's May the 13th. Only a week ago, Anthropic announced introducing Claude for small business. And I think what we've already seen in Cowork, you can see there are a number of different connectors and skills that are available from the marketplace. And that's
Yep.
really a bit of a precursor to all of this stuff. Like a few people in your community have been asking about that, I need these kind of things. So I think Anthropic are putting a name badge on it now. So if we look down here, let's see what they talk about. Anthropic for small business. So obviously it's embedded into the Google workspace. You can, I don't know if you played around with it, you can read your emails, you can create drafts and do a number of different things. And we talked
Very
about,
minimally though.
yeah. When I looked at it maybe 3 months ago, I was like, oh, I played around with it, a co-op for 3 or 4 hours, and I gave up. I think it just wasn't rich enough functionality, but it's come, I think, quite a long way. So it's definitely a place to look at together with Claude Code. They got recent integrations with Xero and say PayPal. And so what they have here is obviously most small businesses, there's a lot of administration and manual work around managing your invoices and month end, and they got agents and tasks in that space. Okay, so I won't click on the videos, but so what it says, it ships with 15 ready to run agent flows. Now I'm thinking the majority of these, I haven't played around with it that much, but the majority of these agent flows are more read-only focus. So like
Sure.
I did connect it to Xero. Do you use Xero in the States? Is that
It's a
like
thing, yeah. I don't have a
yeah.
bookkeeping software
Okay.
myself though, because it's
Yeah,
very
anyway.
small.
Look, I'll use the word Xero, but any kind of accounting software,
Yep.
QuickBooks or whatever, I'll use that one because that's what I use. But so I was able to plug that in and I could query, okay, what invoices are overdue, or show me the history of the last
Yep.
couple of months. And then what I wanted to do was I provided a quote, and I did that manually maybe 2 or 3 days ago. And in Xero, and what I wanted to do is to generate an invoice from that quote. So I asked Cowork to do that, but it failed to do that. I just said, no, you would just read only. So I'm just trying to find out where the barriers are, kind of thing. So we got planning and payroll. You got close month end with less errors, have a pulse on your business, and also with HubSpot, looking at your marketing campaigns. So I'm trying to see where this is different to the connectors, but I think what they're doing is they're probably just wrapping up a lot more features now and calling it Claude for small business. But the first thing then, I guess I would be going is, okay, what tech stack do I have to run my business, and see if those connectors are in place for Cowork. So I mentioned Xero, QuickBooks is another one. People use, DocuSign. We know we can generate proposals and stuff now through Claude Code, but if you're in DocuSign, you can now do a lot of that within Cowork rather than having to log in.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So they've also got workshops going on right now for the next couple of months, but it's just in the States. They're actually going and running face-to-face workshops to show you how this product actually works. Okay, so Claude for small business, saying it's there to build trust for small business owners, because big problem is data security, isn't it? It's people are scared of AI, and rightly you should be scared of AI, but you need to get a better understanding of what's safe and what's not safe and how to use it. So you do need to educate yourself. So you stay in the loop. So often what we want to do is get AI to do a number of tasks, but at the end, we will review it, finalize and say, yes, it's good to go. But as we get more mature with AI, then we can get AI to go all the way, really. So here it says, we don't train your data by default on the team or enterprise plans. Okay, now I can pretty much all of your people in the community, I don't think they would have a team or enterprise plan. I think with a team plan, you have to have a minimum of 5 people in a team, I believe.
Think that's right, yeah.
And I think ChatGPT, the team or business plan is only 2 people. but Anthropic 5. So as a general rule, I think you should be thinking that they are using your data to train. But if you're going through APIs, you're building solutions, then they are not. That's a general rule, but both of those you need to check, okay? Okay, so there's something called AI Fluency for small business. So let me just show you this now. So if I go to skills, okay, now this is a really good training site from Anthropic, but a lot of the introductory modules, they're of value regardless of what AI tool you use, whether it's Gemini or whether it's a ChatGPT. But this is a really good one here. It's called AI Fluency, Framework and Foundations. I think I may have mentioned it before, but it's really good to get the fundamentals right and understand when to use AI and when not to, and how to make it safe. So if we then go to, they've got another course rather than AI Fluency. Now it's called AI Fluency for Small Business. If you Google it, you'll, or maybe it's here. Here it is. So if I just click on that one. All right. So it's almost exactly the same as the AI Fluency one, but they've packaged it up for small business, and they have interviews there with small business owners as well. So I've done a few of them. It's worth having a look to see how other owners have started to use it and what they're gaining from it. So yeah, so behind this, there are AI agents. So the starting point is to, rather than reinvent the wheel, create new AI agents, is to see what comes out of the box. Yeah, is my understanding.
Sure.
So I mentioned that, yeah. And yeah, you guys, if you're in any of these places here, Chicago, Dallas, Birmingham, Baltimore, there's a few more as
we
well.
got Salt Lake City. That's me.
Yeah, okay. So I click on Salt Lake City. You go register. Hopefully it hasn't finished. I think some of them, has it got a date? You got to register before June the 9th. Okay, so you got 3 weeks. Yeah.
That would be fun to attend.
Yeah. You can get a lot of prospective clients, I bet, if you
Sure.
attended that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to do. I think one or two people are asking, how do I get my clients? But if you go to an event like this and you know this product, you know, that's going to be a good start, isn't it? So partnering with small businesses, yeah, focused on non-for-profit. So there's a bit of that. But I guess there's partnerships everywhere, isn't there? There's the partnership for AI agency owners to work with Claude, Anthropic, and also to partner with businesses that need this functionality. Yeah. So let me just go back and see where else we're going here. So we talked about the tech stack. Now they were just listing a few here. So if I click on this one, this small business or solution pages. So that was the Fluency course I was telling you about. So I'm just going to click on the Get Started. So I'm going to download the plugin. Okay. Okay. Before I download that, I just want to look at what it's got here. Now, can you see what this is? Mason, yeah? Do you see that?
Plan payroll. Yes. Oh, do you want me
Yeah.
to execute that or type
I
it?
don't want you to execute it, but yeah, we can see the / can't we? So that in itself is like a command or skill, yeah?
Yeah.
So what we did in one of the previous trainings, I think it was Claude Skills. We created a couple of skills, and you've also done some of yourself, and I saw it on one of your posts as well. But if you think about it, Anthropic had taken away some of that complexity, and they've gone and written a skill or a command. Now, you can imagine if you got your Claude connected through MCP to different software packages, behind the plan or run a campaign, it's going to have, it's an MD file, which is just a prompt or instructions, and it will say, do this, do that, step 1, do step 2, do step 3, step 4, step 5. So that in itself could be retrieve a list of clients from QuickBooks. Okay, go find me the clients that have overdue invoices. Yeah.
Yep. I'm following.
Go into my email and tell me which people are handing me for payment, or where am I getting friction, or who do I need to speak to? So if you think about it, all those things that you do manually, they get wrapped up in an automation. And what you've got here is what Anthropic have done for you, which is going to be really useful. The advantage of Claude Code is you can customize that to your heart's content. Okay. Anyway,
Sure.
great thing is there's lots of built-in commands, skills, and stuff like that. So they're saying they've got 15 commands, they're 15 building blocks. But we know that we can write our own commands as well. Yeah. So we can extend the 15 if we just improve our skills. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. So I think working with what's here would be a good thing to do. And we can also change skills to
really quick. Sorry. Are you saying taking their existing commands and improving them or customizing them further?
I'm guessing that I don't know if they will have exposed them that you can see into them.
Okay.
I'm thinking perhaps they would have possibly, but because the skills themselves are just MD files. It depends how proficient you are. Like for me, if I saw a command and I got understand how it was working, I would just describe that again and build on it. But if the code's there, yeah, you could take that and take it a step further.
Sure.
So prior to this, there was something called Claude plugins, and what Claude plugins are, they're really just packaging up a number of skills and commands. So what you may find, I think there were certain modules that were specific to finance and to sales. So when you go into Claude Cowork, you try to configure things. There's three things you can configure. There's skills, that's one. Then there's connectors, and the connectors are to your data sources. And the other one is plugins. You can go into the plugins, I guess, ecosystem, and you can install plugins. And if you like, a plugin is just packaging up a number of different skills. So if you work in finance, just imagine there's 5 skills or 5 tasks that you typically do. They could all be incorporated into a plugin.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how I'm seeing it anyway. All right. So what have we got here? So then we've got all these things. All right. Then there are related plugins. So like I've used the front end design. I think I've used the front end design skill, but when they say plugin, this probably comprises of a number of different skills. And we talked about you can have a code review as well. So there are specialized agents. Once you've built something, you can do a code review, basically get an agent that's very skilled up in looking at your code and examining it and suggesting improvements or even fixing defects.
Sure, that's very handy. I didn't even think about designated code review agent to do that.
Yeah, and it's worth looking at what are the agents that come with Claude Code. Like one that's really interesting, I think it's not interesting, it's the foundational one, but it's called Explore. So let's say you've got lots of different MD files, you can get this agent to explore numerous data sources and summarize or find the relationships and connections and stuff like that. Yeah, right.
Was it in a separate tab?
Was there this one? Right, this is
There you go.
tab plugin.
Then it takes you to that page.
Okay. It gives small business running. It may already be in. So how about I just go?
Yeah, there you go. See if it's
Okay. Let me just go into okay. Yeah, okay. What I will just say here is I'm probably going to need to hide that information, but I'll edit it out later. But
yeah.
Okay, yeah, what I'm after is with the Claude for Small Business, I downloaded the plugin. I don't think it's been installed properly. Can you please look into it for me? Yeah. Hang on. Here's the thing.
Okay. Yeah, you need to click. I just tried it on my end.
Yeah. Okay. So what do I need to do?
If you scroll up and then on that right hand side, install in Cowork. That's the link.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It'll open
Yeah.
up if you have the desktop app, or you can do it in your
Yeah.
browser,
Okay. I'll just
and
do it.
then you'll see an install button.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And I
There
was describing this before. Yeah, I mentioned there were skills connectors and plugins. Yeah.
Yep.
And so some of the plugins I've seen before were for finance or for sales. So
Yep.
if we look at this, so they've come and they've given us a lot of skills that come with this plugin. Yeah. And look, I'll give you a bit of an argument why perhaps Claude Code is better. I probably don't need all of these skills. Do you know what I mean? There's too many. I'm hoping I'll be able to
That's a
turn off
lot.
these skills. Yeah, because
Yep.
what actually happens is, and this will happen to all of us, is that we will have lots of skills available to us, but you've got to remember each skill has a description. So the more skills we have, when we try to invoke a skill, it's got to go through a bigger list of skills. It's not going to be any slower. It will be a little bit, but not materially. But the issue you're going to have is that it may invoke the wrong skill. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. And I saw that with a voice agent. I had two skills and not skills, two knowledge bases. And it took me a little while. It's probably a month or two. It kind of clicked that they were too similar. So I didn't know which knowledge base to look in when somebody asked a question. Anyway, great. We got these skills. We got these connectors. No, I can't select these. Okay. So
again, really quick, skills are just these .md files with instructions, right?
Yeah.
I can get loaded into context and called upon, or you can directly execute them in a chat, right?
Yeah. Yes. People kind of use the words interchangeably. First, from a business perspective, I would just see them as a standard operating procedure. These are the things that you do. Okay.
That's a really good way of, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Then there are two kind of ways of doing those things, right? You can do it explicitly and you can do it implicitly. So explicitly is when you put the / command and you say business pulse. So it doesn't need to know which skill to try and work out which one it is, because
You're just telling it.
you've put it in. It's really a command. Then the other way of doing it is you just describe something, and then what's actually happening behind the scenes is going through and it's trying to work out which skill to use. Do you know what I mean? And then that's done implicitly, kind of thing. So that's how it is really.
That makes sense. And then then the connectors, I'm just asking these questions for any viewer who might watch this after. The connectors are really just authorizations to use that tool, into authorizing Anthropic Claude to access your account essentially in Canva or HubSpot or PayPal.
Yeah, that's
like a bridge
right
into your account.
Yeah, and look at the keyword here is model context protocol. Yeah, MCP.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, so all the connectors are through MCP.
Are through MCP. That's okay. Very smart. I actually didn't know that. So and then I guess I'm still just a little confused. Plugins then, are plugins just a mix of everything? Is it a bundle of all of that?
That's exactly what a plugin is. It's a bundle. So this plugin called Small Business, right? It's these 31 skills and these 12 connectors. Okay.
Gotcha. I'm following.
That's what the plugin is. But I may choose to create my own plugin and it's just got 5 of these skills, and it's only, if I look at these, I definitely want Slack, maybe DocuSign I would have wanted a while back, but I don't need it anymore. Sure. Yeah, I want Stripe, and Microsoft 365. I do use that a bit, so I'm not sure whether I want to put it in. Gmail, I want it. Google Calendar, Google Drive, yes. And for instance, QuickBooks is there, but Xero is not. Do you know what I mean? And
I can see that. Yeah.
I'm sure, but the reality of it is that you can install this, yeah, and I'm pretty sure I would be able to add Xero as a connector, so it becomes one of my tools, yeah.
Now, do plugins come with sub-agents or other agents sometimes?
No, I don't think they do. I think what you've got to That's my understanding of the plugins. These are building blocks that can be used by you, the user that's interacting with Claude. If I go a little bit technical, programming days, when you go and look at the object-oriented programming, and I apologize if I lose anybody on this, but they have this concept of classes and objects, and a class would have two things. It would have attributes and it would have procedures. And really, the attributes are just like field names. They're just data, what gets stored. Okay, that's one. And then the other thing, procedures, they're just behavior or methods. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So the reason I bring this analogy in is with agents, we know agents have tools, don't they? Yeah.
Yep.
Agents execute tools, right? What you can have is have different agents. Some of them may have an overlap of tools, right? What I'm trying to say is that I may have an agent, you may have an agent, and one of your agents does this one, and mine does the first two, but I've got my own custom tools and stuff like that. Yeah. Anyway, so where I'm going with this, yeah, the agents would have behavior, and what that behavior is executing tools, and they're using data, and the data is accessible through the connectors. Yeah, the connectors is actually getting external data, isn't it, from these software packages? Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So let's click install. All right. Okay. So that was fast. Small business is installed and it's ready to use. Okay. All right. So I think what it's doing is right. Okay. You now have a number of skills, right? And you have a number of connectors, but not all of those connectors, or none of those connectors are configured. But what they've given us is a plugin, which is probably that 80-20 rule. It's probably not 80-20, but it's probably 70% of what's there is common to everybody.
Yeah.
But you can then go and connect your apps that weren't part of that plugin, because they could have put in, rather than 31 skills, they could have gone and created 100 skills or 100 apps, and that would just be too onerous and it just clog things down. So what they're saying is, okay, you've now got the small business components, go and add your apps and go and add your skills. So when we go here, create new skills, right? Click on that one. Now I've got all these different skills here. So this is a good one to look at. Mason, we did this one together, really. Yeah. So what this one was, when we started commencing the workshops, what we did was at the end of it, we got hold of the audio file, converted that into text, and then we just wrote a prompt to say, all right, what I'd like you to do is write some companion notes. And this is the prompt, okay? I'll just go through each step. It reads the transcript. So that's 40 to 60 minutes worth of talking. It drafts the notes and it says, okay, this is what the build was. This is the business context, and these are the core tools used. So we wanted to find a way of trying to summarize what a workshop was about, but not lose the viewer too early on. So for me, you go, all right, let's not get technical. What were we trying to do? What were we trying to achieve? What problem were we trying to solve? And then we go into what does the video cover? And then what I've got here is the concepts and terminology. I put systems thinking and terminology. And the reason I put that in is because AI is moving so fast. Yeah. If we focus on systems thinking, then it's really just a recommended approach. And those approaches won't change that fast compared to AI tools. And then at the very end, I say, go and do a fact check. So when we're doing the presentation or workshop, what I wanted to do is just say, did I say anything that was factually incorrect? And I know I did pick up one where I said text to speech when it should have been speech to text.
Yes.
And the reason I'm doing that is because when you're speaking, and these courses, you're doing it on the fly. You don't mean on purpose, but sometimes you just don't get your words out, and that's why I had that in there, really. And then we got the formatting rules, don't use jargon, stuff like that. Okay. So we got the small business plugin, right? It then prompted us to go and connect to additional resources on top of the 10 or so, and also the skills as well. So what we can do is we can go and create new skills, and we can do that in Claude Code, in Cursor, or Visual Studio Code, or Anti-Gravity. But you can also do it in this environment in Cowork. And if I go plus skills, manage, add skill. Okay. Do you see there's a skill creator here? Okay. Yep. So a skill creator is like a meta skill. What it does, when we go and create a new skill, you can use a skill creator to go and create whatever skill you want. And this is just a generic template for us. We don't need to know what's in here. What we're going to say, I want to create a new skill to produce some content, to do some animation, to use promotion. And what it will do, it will go and look at this skill creator, and it will try and follow this pattern as much as it can. And from there, then it will go and create that skill. And so in answer to your question earlier, when we were talking about, can we change their skills? I'm pretty sure the answer is yes, because they're exposing everything in here. Do you know what I mean? There's an analyzer. Here are the agents, you see, but I'm pretty sure the skills that they're introducing, you would be able to extend those skills. Yeah. Okay. So let me try this again now. I go /, or maybe I go into Cowork. I don't know. Yeah. So, do you see? I put it into Cowork, and it has invoked that one. Okay. Yeah. Plan payroll. I think normally you enter something after a parameter, but let me just see what happens.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I may need to hide some of this if it's going into my account. But what you can see, that was explicitly called, we use the command. It wasn't trying to work out what skill to use. Yeah. I'm using the Sonnet model here. Notice that, not Opus 4.7.
Smart.
Yeah. Okay. Opus uses 3 times the amount of credits, and Haiku uses 3 times less than Sonnet. So, so when is the next payroll date? Yeah, I think, yeah, oops, that'd be fine. How far ahead should I forecast your cash flow? All right, let's just go 60 days. Now, 30, 60, 90. There's no 180 days, and that's a bit annoying. But so maybe I could go and update this skill so it's got a longer forecast. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Do you have a sense of your payroll amount? Okay. So look, I'm not going to expose anything. I'm just going to put what they've got here. There's $12,000 per fortnight. So just see what that comes back with. Yeah. Okay. Now, what I could do here is I could upload files that have come out from my bank, if you like, transactions and things like that, yeah, to show the cash flow data. So then it's basically looking at multiple data sources. I would probably connect it, as I say, to Xero and to my bank. If I just click on the run paycheck, yeah. Okay, so what we're seeing here as well, you can see on the left, these are the progress steps. And the thing that's quite important to know, when you're using Cowork, where it's different to chat, it's obviously saving information. It's not saving it in the cloud, it's saving it on your hard drive, yeah? So that's where it takes it to the next level.
Yep.
Now, where we got the working folder, what you can see there's a connector to Xero here. It is pulling my cash position here. So I may need to block that out. Yeah, and it's executing that skill. And I'm just going to, it's producing quite a few reports. Look, I'll just describe these because we're not going to show them, but you can see it's got like a summary position. There's a chart, income, expenses, and stuff like that. Now,
Sure.
this always allow, remember, we've seen this in Claude Code, is what kind of permissions do you want? So I'm just going to allow once, or often I would say bypass permissions, but I just want to just do it once here. And I recommend when you're starting out, just don't be too aggressive. Just allow it, or you can go a step further in between, is allow it for this session, if you like, okay? Anyway, I'm impatient. I've clicked in. Okay, all right. So there you go. I will, hide some of this information, but you can see the idea. So it's actually gone into Xero, right? And now it's thinking about it, and it's going to come back with more information. Okay. All right. I'm not going to wait for that. Just imagine it's come back with more business insights and stuff like that. So what I'm going to say here is I'm speaking into Whisper Flow. Okay. So remind me of all the commands that have come with small business for Claude, or Claude for small business. I think there were 31 commands or 31 skills, but I'm just after the commands that I could use. And what I'd like you to do, because you know who I am and you know my business, tell me what you think the most 5 or 10 useful commands are. I don't want to know why, but just tell me what they are. Okay. So, okay. Okay, so what is it doing here? It's come up back and it's told me these are the 10 most useful commands, yeah? And the reason I said don't tell me why is because we're doing a shared presentation and it may expose some insights that I don't want to be exposed. But if I was just doing it by myself, I would be asking why. Yeah.
Yep.
So the thing here then, it's got a Monday brief, and I think what we've seen is there are ways of dispatching, which that allows you to work from your mobile phone, but there's also ways of scheduling tasks. Okay, so this small business Monday brief, what I'm guessing it will do, it will go through all your data. Yeah. What is your data? There's probably 2 bits to it. It's your previous conversations, somewhat. But it's probably your files that are on your computer. Not all of your files. We are working within a particular project, yeah. And this is a good reason why you should containerize everything. I'm just working in this particular space, and it's got these MD files. Just imagine an MD file. Let's imagine you got 4. One's business strategy, one's operations, the other may be transactions. It could be prospects and clients. You've got 5 files, okay? So when we get the Monday brief, it's looking at those 5 key files, which are getting updated all the time, but it's also going into your applications that we've seen that were made available through the connectors, yeah? I would imagine perhaps the Monday brief doesn't do that. And the reason I'm going back on myself is that information has already been extracted out and is being outputted into these MD or summary files, okay? Anyway, you can look at the code, what the Monday brief does, yeah? Now, the other one, invoice chase. So, yeah, I'll block it out, but there was one invoice there that I need to chase up. In fact, I don't, is because I haven't updated in Xero to say that it's been action. So there's that one.
That
We
makes
saw
sense.
the cash. Yeah, we saw the cash flow report, and we were able to specify a date, weren't we? Yeah, not a date range, 30, 60, 90 days. Yeah. Okay. So then we've got a Friday brief. So hopefully, this is my plan. Is trying to say, hey, this is where you got to. This is my plan, and I'm hoping a Friday brief. Ideally, you would know about what I've done in the past week, and it will summarize what I've done, and maybe it will tell me a couple of little points about what I need to do next week. Yeah. We can look at margin analyzer. Obviously, that's comparing your costs with your income or what you're charging out. Quarterly review, contract review. Yep. So what I could do here now is say, okay, Okay, tell me what the 5 least likely are for me. Don't tell me why, just tell me what they are. Okay. Now, and behind that, we said there are skills or a set of instructions, but they have often code. It could be Python code and or scripts, and they get
Yep.
executed. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would say for me, that is just not relevant at all. Canva. I don't use Canva. I've played around with Canva. I can see why it's such a popular tool, but I now tend to do things through Claude Code and Nana Banana. So I would just say, I don't want that. I bet you there's a way for me to remove that skill from my environment so it doesn't clog it up. Job post, I don't need that. Yeah, not really, but maybe, I don't know, maybe it is more important. Yeah, I don't need this at this stage. I don't know what this ticket deflector is. Okay. So I'm going to say that's great. So build cash flow forecast. So I can see the progress. If I go on the right hand side, I can see the progress. You've gone through 3 tasks. Now there are, I think you're on the 4th one, building cash flow forecast. I thought you did that. Did you do it? Please continue with that task. And then finally, the 5th task, which is the draft overdue invoice reminders. Okay, so what we're seeing now then, where's my brain at? It's all finance focused, but I'm just doing a little bit at the end of the month. So think about it now is that I'm not having to go into a QuickBooks or Xero. I'm able to ask all that information, or I can ask the questions against the data that's in those finance systems. I don't need to go in and really what is it doing behind the scenes. You can imagine if you had an assistant, they would be going in and doing it for you. They're clicking on it, they're running a query and stuff like that. Okay, so it's saying they're my cash receivables, and so that's okay. I'll block that out and say let me complete task 4 and 5. Okay, so I'm just going to say yeah, please continue. So this is drafting out the invoice reminders, okay? So to a couple of clients that they owe some money, yeah? And, or I don't know, that seemed to me pretty good. I don't know what you thought, Mason, because neither of us prepared for that, did we? We just gave it a go and...
Oh, we just went with it. It was great. Cowork. Yeah, Cowork is one of those, I still haven't dabbled too much in Cowork myself.
Yeah.
But that's a really good use case. The Claude Code or Claude for small business. A lot of those, I'm thinking about it for myself. A lot of those plugins, a lot of those skills and commands, like majority, to be honest, I wouldn't even use myself. But I'm in a unique spot because I feel like small business, when I think small business, I don't think of like a digital creator, a digital business necessarily, let alone like someone who has a very lean team. I'm thinking of a business that has a handful of employees. They actually have bookkeeping software. They actually have payroll, right? I'm just, whenever I do, you know me, I work with Ryan. Ryan's my partner. He's a third party.
Yeah.
I don't have payroll. The only payroll I have are my owner draws from my bank account, right? But I could use PayPal because I get payments through PayPal a lot. I could use a few of those others. Anyway, sorry, that's just my 2 cents, but that was very cool to see.
No, it's good to see, but there's work in that area because small businesses, they're not going to be able to just set that up themselves. Do you know what I mean? They need to be trained. Okay, so what do you do manually? This is how you go back. There's a configuration step. So I can't remember, somebody was asking about getting their first client, weren't they, in the community? And my answer would be that this is not a bad product. If you learn this product, you could go in and show a company how to do it. You know what I mean? Get them all set up and charge them a certain amount, and away you go. And you've also got that connection for future work. I think like where I come from, quite a strong data analytics background, and I use Microsoft Power BI, and there was always this argument: is Excel better or Power BI better? And you can never get rid of Excel, and often they work better together. Okay, that's the true answer. And the same thing is going to be true of Cowork. and Claude Code. Which one's better? They are targeted at different audiences, but they also work better together. Do you know what I mean? It's that we can leverage both, we can work with both, and they are integrated because they're saving information onto your hard drive. Yeah. Obviously, with Claude Code, you can pretty much do anything and everything, and you can also make mistakes as well. So you are more sandboxed in the Cowork kind of thing. But you can start Cowork, and if you get stuck, you may need to come back to Claude Code. We talked about, APIs, didn't we? And probably those connection tools, they're all about read-only MCP components.
Yep.
And probably for a very good reason, because the last thing, imagine your accounting software, they stuff up or they make a change, and then you go and create an invoice through Claude, through MCP, and that doesn't get created correctly. Now, Anthropic are in the mix, aren't they? So if there's a dispute, but obviously with Claude Code, they just wash their hands of it, kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's very smart, read only. And I really liked one of the things, it might be really small. One of the things I really like that you said is really don't get too, I don't know how you phrased it, but I took it as don't get too cocky right off the bat and like just do bypass permissions if this is your first time inside of Cowork or Claude Code, because you got to get familiar with how these things drive themselves, how to steer them too, and really know how they operate under the hood, at least get comfortable with it before you start loosening the reins.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is, the other one I would say is that, like, when you're on the pro plan and then you finally jump back to the max plan, you never look back and you think, I wish I'd done it earlier. I think it's actually good to stick on the pro plan as long as you can in some ways, regardless of your financial position. The reason being is because you will pay more attention to how the tokens are being used. Okay. So, and the Sonnet and Opus models, they jump from 200,000 to 1 million kind of thing. Now, it's a bad idea just to go up to 1 million. You probably want a fresh context a lot earlier on than that. And then the other thing then is like understanding that, like, the models, they use a different amount of tokens. And so if you go the 3 core Anthropic models, like Sonnet is 3 times more than Haiku, and then Opus is 3 times more than Sonnet. So I think that's a really important skill to have. It's just like you've got employees working for you. You need to try and use the right person at the right time. Okay.
Yeah.
And what I noticed is, like, when I've been using Opus too much, it's just overthinking way too much. And not only that, it's actually spending 2 or 3, 4 times longer doing something than it needs to spend had I gone with Sonnet. So if you just jump to the max plan and jump to it, and I guess I'm only get up to about 50% usage. So because you aren't exceeding it, I will exceed it when I start using more agents. In some ways, you can go, I'm just going to stick on Opus 4.7 and I'm just going to do whatever I want in any way I want, and it'll just get there, which is not a good idea, really.
You just described me. I feel a little called out right now.
Yeah.
I need to be utilizing Sonnet.
I'm saying this because I've been there, and I'm only changing my behavior in the last month or two, really, if I'm honest. And the other behavioral change I will say that I've made is really about, in Claude, going into the planning phase before the implementation phase. Okay. So we've talked about, if you're on the pro plan, Sonnet token usage is a lot less than Opus. But the other thing is that if you plan more, and when I say plan, it's not you just write it down by yourself, but you work with Claude to do the plan. You put /create plan, and then you iterate through that plan over and over again. And once you finalize it, then you go implement it. Because you know what it's like if you develop something, develop a solution, there's a cost to it if you've made a mistake. If you find the mistake when you've written the requirements, let's say the cost is $100. If you find it when you've deployed it and you're in a testing phase, it's now $1,000. Okay.
Yes.
If you find it and you're in production, and you've got 100 users there, it's $10,000. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So that principle as well is super important kind of thing, that even though these models are so good at this day and age, they seem to just get you there. Try and come back to planning, because what's going to happen is that your capability is really just going to improve so much, regardless of whether you're trying to build software or you're just trying to use it in a different way to improve your business operations. But as you do more complicated things, and you will, if you go into the planning phase and you have that habit, then you're going to be flying through it.
That was a really good analogy. I really like that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Plans you should not strive to be perfect in your planning, because you can't think of everything, but definitely spending more time it's more efficient that way. It may not seem like it by spending that extra time before. If you're anything like me, sorry, I'm not speaking to you, but I'm kind of speaking to whoever might be watching this. If you're anything like me, I just want to dive in and start building right off the get-go. But so many problems can be avoided while developing, even with Claude Code. If you just spend a few extra minutes at least, plan a little bit more, you'll uncover things that you're like, oh wait, I actually didn't think about that. Or Claude more often than not will push back because you instructed it to, hey, I know you're telling me to do this. Here's where I'm going to push back. Here's an alternative that you might not have thought about. Is that better? Let me know. And you're sometimes like, oh yeah, actually scratch what I said. That's a way better idea. You move with that feature. Let's proceed.
Yeah. And the other thing you can try is, let's say you've gone through and you've used up a lot of context. You may be close to that $1 million token limit. At the end of it, say, okay, tell me how many tokens I've used in this session. Okay, 1. Now, could I have gone about this in a better way? What should I have done it? How should have I interacted with you, Claude? And it will say, oh, if you've gone down and done a plan, do you know what I mean? Then we may have only used 1/3 of the tokens, and we would have got there in half the time. Yeah. It may even go, oh, you know what? Because it's very complicated, go spin off these agents. They have their own context, and it's not eaten into the core one, really. So I think that's another good technique or behavioral thing to do, is once you're getting close to the end of your session in Claude, ask it to evaluate what you've done. I often say update the claude.md file. Do you know what I mean? Or I may go at the very end of it, I might go, I want you now to write a prompt so I can pick it up my next session. Okay.
Smart.
But better than that, I would have a command which says /handover. That handover, what it does, it goes through my entire conversation and it goes, right, I know what happened and what you need to do next. That gets stored in a file. Then you go new context /prime, just initialize everything. Then it reads the handover document and where you go.
Really smart. I need to do that. Did you build that out yourself? Those commands?
Yes, I mean, I have taken it. Look, no, I have taken it from somebody else or some other community, and then I just adapted it, really. But I would just start, if you just want a basic one, you would just say, go create me a skill. It's called handover. I will use this skill at the very end of my context. What I want you to do is just to summarize what's been achieved in 2 sentences. Then what I would like you to do is write a number of instructions. So in my next session, I know what I need to do to continue. That's all that the handover will be. You may have another skill called pickup, and the pickup is read handover, and that's it. That's all it is. That's all it is. So yeah, and I have come across another way of creating skills, which I love to share, is you can, with a Google API, you can create a video and it's just tracking everything that you're doing, clicking on the screen, taking all the screenshots. And then from there, you use all that and the text, feed it back in, and then it creates a skill for you. Do you see? So if you think about it, yes, if you think about it, imagine you go in and you do this into Xero, you do this, and you're videoing that, right?
Yep.
The video is going to screenshot screen capture all these different things. It'll have all that. You've also got the text as you're speaking along. So the screen, it also has text that gets converted from an image to text together with what you're saying. If you've got all the source information, go create me a skill. It'll do it.